Welcome back to Where is the Money? Now, credit card debt is a really big problem in America. Some would say it's an epidemic of mass proportion, considering with all the inflation, with the cost of everything going up, people are trying to survive.
And a new report from the Federal Reserve shows American household debt is at an all-time high of $18 trillion. Debt grew by $93 billion at the end of 2024, and half of that increase came from new credit card debt.
Yeah, and that's a big number, Diane. $1.2 trillion, that's up 7% compared to a year ago. So it does show that those credit card balances are going up overall. But there is this growing debt balance. It's been going up steadily over the past couple of quarters and couple of years, and that is something that we're looking at when you say how much of those people are falling behind on their payments. What we know is that about typically half of people do pay their credit card balances in full. So if you're doing that, not so much of a concern. What is concerning is people who are getting behind on their payments, especially given the really high interest rates that we're seeing, Diane, right now, about 20%. I talked to Ted a lot at Bankrate, and we're looking at those rates, and they're not really coming down much. And that's a concern if you are behind, because that interest can add up really quickly when you're looking at your payments every month.
Now, it's not a surprise to people these days that people are using credit cards to survive these days. Although everything has raised in cost, their wages in most situations have not raised with it. So credit cards have been a main way where people can be able to get the items and necessities they need, whether groceries, whether a flat tire you got to change, whether a car repair, whether toiletries, whatever the case. A lot of people are putting basic necessities on credit cards to make it to the next payday to eventually pay it off. But as costs continue to go, the total imbalance of these credit cards get higher and higher. So people are in a ridiculous amount of debt. Now, it used to be if you don't pay the credit card balance, they close the card, it goes to collection. You never think about it. 7 years later, you get a new card. These days, the credit card companies don't like that.
They will sue you. 3 credit cards that you mess with, most likely they'll take you to court. That's American Express, Discover, and Capital One. So make sure if you have these cards, make sure you keep them in good standing. And God forbid, in any scenario that you default, make sure you settle with them and avoid it going to court.
Discover does not play when it comes to the money that is owed to them. So Discover kind of just skips the whole collection agency process in general and just goes directly through the courts. And if they're going through the courts, there's going to be a lot of additional fees, such as court fees, attorney fees, and all these other interest fees that you're going to get on top of the debt. So my suggestion is to always work it out with them. A lot of times people can negotiate those debts for even 50% or less. I have personally seen people negotiate their Discover debts to a significantly lower amount. So it's very important that you get on top of it, because if you don't, they will definitely come for you. So if you have a debt with Discover and you've been delinquent with that debt, I highly suggest contacting them, because they will get their money. If you do not respond to your summons or show up to your court date, then they are going to garnish your wages, and they legally can do that. So definitely work it out with them before that takes an effect.
So they are being a lot more aggressive with trying to get that balance. Some are skipping past collections, jumping right to, you guessed it, suing your ass. Now, not all credit cards take this approach, but they are a select few, have been known statistically to take you right to court and play no games at all. Of those, Discover, American Express, and Capital One. So when people get into a situation where their wages are not increasing, their credit card balances are tapped out, they can't take out any more loans, borrow any more money from anybody, the credit card companies sue them, take them to court in order to try to garnish wages, get a judgment, whatever have it. What now?
People who are getting behind on their car payments, Diane, that number of people, or that percentage of people, is increasing. Overall, Americans have about $1.7 trillion in auto loan debt. That number is going up. And really the researchers that we've been talking to at the New York Fed say part of this is just the fact that car prices have been so high. And this does underscore the reality that a lot of households are dealing with high prices persistently and those day-to-day costs. We've talked a lot about the inflation report this week, Diane. You saw car repairs, car prices continuing to go up, and that's part of the reason why people are getting behind on those payments.
It used to be if people are in these type of situations, they've mismanaged money to some degree. They are not making enough money, but there's a lot of people are getting increased costs on things that they can't keep up with, not because they were reckless with their spending, simply because they may have got into one or two bad situations and everything keeps raising in costs, and now they're in a situation that does not look familiar. So the question is, how bad can it get? Because it already looks pretty bad. Put your comments below. Let's talk about it. This is Where is the Money? Talk to you soon.